Hey everyone, there's a video making the rounds on social media. It's a clip of a couple in therapy. I found it super interesting and I'll share my thoughts after we watch. I'm definitely going to look for the full video to get the complete context. All right, let's take a look.
It was 11 months. Well, she's going to be 11 months on Friday.
Yeah.
And India said to me that I think we were in an argument at one time, and she said, "Oh, that's why I didn't want to have a baby with you."
Mm-hmm. I did.
And
I did say that.
Heavy words. It's interesting that she's owning her words, too. I think the fact that she's doubling down on what she said is a real sucker punch for her husband. But let's keep going.
I'm sorry. Okay, you're upset, and you said something that you didn't mean. But you cannot convince her that that's not what we just had a meant. Mm-hmm. So where do I go with this? Mm-hmm. What do I do?
See, here's the tough part, because he says that right here, right now, that he's trying to convince me that that's not what I believed. But that's how I felt. Mm-hmm. Because Dale has another child. Mm-hmm. He's been married before. And so he already knew what to do here. He's already done this. So I was feeling criticized. Mm-hmm. And this is why I was afraid to parent with him. I feel he just makes me feel inadequate in everything. Mm-hmm.
That was a really interesting clip. Let's dissect the dialogue and the conversation. It shows an interesting dynamic. One disclaimer I have to give is that this is just a clip. We don't have the full context of their situation, their family dynamics, their parenting dynamics, or their relationship dynamics. From what I've seen, there are some very concerning things in this interaction, but the jury's still out until I see the full video or more clips that give me a more informed position and more pieces to the puzzle. The comment section is full of people supporting the wife, saying they see themselves in her, and then others supporting the husband. Those supporting the wife say things like, "Oh, he's invalidating her feelings," or assume he openly criticized her. For those supporting the husband, it's along the lines of, "She's using her words to tear him down." A lot of times when we see discussions like this, I try to encourage those around me to arm yourself with as much information as possible before jumping to conclusions or taking sides. Ask for more context, then analyze the situation based on the information you have. Try to see things from both sides. It's called dialectic thinking. First, consider the wife's viewpoint from a narrow, one-sided perspective, then do the same for the husband. Understand that the truth usually lies in the middle. In a world where she's played no part in the outcome of the clip and is only a victim of a passively aggressive husband, as she said in the clip, she feels inadequate and constantly criticized. If we were to guess how, in this extreme viewpoint, perhaps he compares her with his previous wife, or vocally berates or downplays her efforts. She pointed out this is his second marriage. It's possible that in their day-to-day, there's a bit of passive aggression or comparison between her and his past partner. That's a heavy burden to carry as a wife, to be constantly nitpicked and underappreciated. Her words in this scenario are her voicing her opinion and letting him know how she feels. So in one extreme, let's say the husband is always blaming her for little things she's doing or not doing right, and that's why she's voicing her concerns, which seems like she's tearing him down, and he's crying about it. On the other side, if we decide to judge the situation from a biased point of view and side with the husband, we can assume he's a good man, a perfect man being torn down by his spiteful wife. He's doing everything right, a role model, he's on his A game. However, in being a great partner, his actions are weighing heavily on the wife, making her feel incompetent. He holds himself to a standard she cannot meet up with, and this makes her feel less competent. As the saying goes, those raised on love don't mix well with those raised on survival or dysfunction because they don't understand how to be loved. When they are loved right, it can trigger them, and they might sabotage the relationship. Our upbringing usually plays a foundational role in who we are, and the person that shows up in the relationship. In this viewpoint, we can assume the wife is simply lashing out and sees his good traits as an attack on her, since she doesn't think she can measure up in the relationship. The middle ground here has different shades where both parties played a part in the outcome, and no one's hands are clean. The different shades reflect how much each person contributed to the outcome. Now that we've looked at all three sides, I must say that while the two extreme sides are possible, it's usually unlikely in human relationships. The truth typically lies in the shades of the middle. The focal point here is the actions he takes that make her feel criticized or inadequate. Maybe he said a thing or two, not overly critical, which triggered her and made her insecure, and she reacted. That could be the truth, and that's more of the middle ground here. Remember, in discussions like this, we aren't looking for who's right or wrong, but how do we move forward? How do we reconcile? One thing I have to say though, from observing the dynamics of the discourse, something just rubbed me the wrong way. Whether person A or person B is right or wrong, whether the man is right or wrong, or the woman is right or wrong, I think one thing that should always be in a relationship is love and respect. The moment you see your partner breaking down or broken by your words, the first action should be to console, not to focus on whether you're right or wrong. You should be concerned for their well-being in that instant. Why? Because you care for them. And that's where I'm a bit concerned about, at least from this clip. It might just be taken out of context from the clip. She said certain words that made her partner feel less and broke him down to tears. At this point, my expectation is for her to try and reach out, not try to be right. Who is right or wrong at this point is inconsequential. The next thing she did was to double down on what she said, further cutting into his esteem. I found her response very cold. I think maybe looking at other clips or the full video might give us a better understanding of their dynamics, but yeah, it seemed very cold. I'll try to have a follow-up video on this, guys, so watch this space. I'll look for the full video so we can get a bit more context to this clip. One thing I'll say is the truth is usually in the middle, rather than swinging to either extreme. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the flip side.